It's the future, don't hit the snooze. AI is here giving humans the boost. Team Humans rolling, brains in the game with Dan Turchin. Y'all remember the name. People laying in the mix, no stopping the flow. Better work, better life, yeah, we're ready to go. Robots and humans, a collab, you know. Okay, let's start the show.
This is Dan Turchin from AI and the Future of Work. Welcome to a special edition of the podcast recorded live on the show floor at the HumanX 2026 event. This is the very first of a series of special episodes we recorded live at the event. While the upcoming episodes in this series will be released in a compilation format, today we are kicking things off with a full exclusive interview with the man who made the event happen, Stefan Weitz, CEO of HumanX. As always, we're using 11 labs to digitize my voice for these special intros. The real me reviewed and approved the content and, of course, approved the digital twin. In this conversation, Stefan reminds us that AI is an evolving tool designed to exponentially amplify our unique human capabilities and allow us to build things we never could before. Let's jump into the interview. An absolute pleasure to be here. And we're going to dispense with all the preamble. First off, take a little victory lap. What is it like to be here, surrounded by thousands of friends?
I'm not an events guy. I'm a tech nerd. I've been writing code since I was 8 years old. And so I am an introvert too, which is even funnier, to be honest. But I built this because I'm a tech nerd. And when I was growing up as a child, I wanted a C-3PO. I wanted Knight Rider, my kit car. And I remember literally watching Knight Rider on Friday nights, my basement, coloring, building kit, the models of kits. So I was going to go build when I got older. And I was at Microsoft for 20 years and loved it. And we built a lot of great stuff there. But we never really kind of got to where I wanted to get to because the tech wasn't there yet. And so when I saw Transformers come out, of course, and these new interaction models that we're seeing, it was really exciting. So I thought we could actually get my C-3PO now at some point. But when I called my buddies who now run big companies, they didn't know what to do with it. And so I thought, oh my gosh, we have to start something where we can get the people who are deploying the technology, people who are building the technology, people who are investing the technology together and try to cut through as much as possible, cut through a lot of the BS and the hype and actually we need some hype. Hype is good for a lot of things, but we need basically to help people practically understand what can you do with this now? Where's your North Star? So yeah, it's fun to be here with all these people who believe the same thing and want to come and experience it. So yeah, it's a blast.
What you and I are surrounded by on this show floor makes C-3PO look like an abacus.
You're right, actually. It's so true. Except, nothing can move as well as he can move yet, though. That's the thing. The movement. I mean, we've seen.
Certainly not Olaf.
Not Olaf. We sent Brett over at the robotics company, Brett Aycock. I really wanted him to be here because they have that Figure 1 robot, which is incredible. But he rightly had to do something else today, so he couldn't be here. But yes, I know. I wish we had more robots.
It's hard to capture. We're in this little makeshift podcast studio. Yes. It's hard to capture, except for the techno music going on behind us, the energy in Moscone. What stands out to you when you walk the show floor and just bask in the amazing things that are happening
I
here?
am a product guy, so I do not look for good things. I look for bad things. And so all I see are things like this. We should have had this soundproofed. So yeah, I don't. It's funny. I mean, it drives my wife crazy, but I am really good at identifying all the things that need to improve. So yeah, it's fun to see. Like the team is unbelievable that we have working on this. They're the best in the world, and they get many notes from me every day saying this is not good enough. We need to fix this for next year. But yeah, look, I mean, the people are here, which is great. That's what matters. The carpet doesn't matter. The lighting doesn't matter. It's the people who are here, and that's what's edifying is to see that more than whether I don't like the way things are laid out when I see them in person.
When you started the company not that long ago.
We incorporated it early 24. Yeah.
In AI terms, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
But in people terms, it's not that long.
Not a long time, no.
Could you have even dreamed as big as the kinds of things that have happened in the last couple of years?
Oh, as far as like what's happening in the industry?
Both the company, the events, but also in terms of
The company,
Bigger
yes.
than HumanX.
This is a venture-backed company, and so we had to go pitch to VCs, and so we had a plan, and we've luckily been able to achieve the plan the last couple of years. We'll see how it keeps going, or not. But so yeah, I mean, I knew we'd be capable of doing this. I didn't know that. Otherwise, I would have done it because I failed at many things, but I go into things fully expecting to be successful. So yeah, this is kind of where I thought we'd be in 2 years, which is fun. But the industry is, as I talked about this morning in my opening talk, it's accelerating at a velocity that humankind has never seen. And so I would say, whereas 2.5 years ago when we started the company, chat was still chat and it was fine and it hallucinated a lot and made really dumb errors and all that kind of stuff. I don't think any of us expected that we would be where we are now from a technological standpoint 2 years ago. I'm sure some folks smarter than I am predicted it, but I think the acceleration is so fast that we haven't figured it out. It's just insane.
You spent formative years in your career at Microsoft.
Yes.
What did you learn over the years?
Everything. I mean, I got there when I was 2021, something like that. And I can't imagine a better place to have grown up than Microsoft back then. I think now it's much bigger, and Satya is incredible. I worked for Satya. He's an incredible leader, but it's just big, And back when I got there, it was still big. It wasn't like a tiny company in '96.
Were you there pre-Satya? Were you there in the Ballmer days?
I got there in '96. I got there. Yeah. So I was 20 years old. So I got there in 1996. Yeah. And so I was there with Gates and Ballmer and
you found the fountain of youth.
Yeah. The fountain of youth,
96.
you don't go inside. That's when you avoid the sun. That's amazing. You sit behind a computer all day. But no, back then, especially in '96, it was still relatively small. I think Redmond maybe had, I'm probably getting it wrong, maybe 12,000 people across the entire company, which is big. But you kind of knew everyone that you needed to know, and you would see Gates and Ballmer in the cafeteria every day at lunch, and Ballmer would yell at you across the cafeteria every day at lunch. And then every Fridays in Windows, we would have Brian Valentine, who at the time was running Windows, who's an incredible guy. Every Friday at 3:00, we would go downstairs to Building 25 or 25's cafeteria, the whole division of Windows, be there from 3 till 9 p.m. We would do demos. We would drink beer, eat pizza, have fun, talk. So no one ever left. I didn't leave my office for the first several years. And it wasn't because I had to. It's because you really felt the mission. I know people make fun of that these days, and all these companies with their mission statements but we really believed that we were changing the world, and we did. In many cases, they did. I mean, we all did. So it was amazing. So growing up there were some bad habits we all learned, obviously, as any company like that. And Gates is famous for his temper, and Ballmer is famous for his attention to detail. And I mean, I had incredible bosses, though. But yeah, it was. I wish more young people could experience a culture like that. I think it's pretty rare. I mean, Google still has a really good culture down here. I think they do a really good job. But I think it's pretty rare for most young people to get an experience that is both unbelievably challenging, very meritocratic. The meritocracy is very strong there, and really so much fun. I wish more people had it, because it teaches you a different way to work.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So you lived through the most iconic product launches.
Did.
Product failures.
Yep. Did those too. A few myself I did, yes.
You've watched iconic leaders be born, and I mean, even Satya was, I think he was there at the time.
Yes, absolutely. I worked for him, yeah.
What's the product launch that I mean, you predated Windows 98, the launch of that.
I got there right as a little after 95 dropped, basically. And so Memphis was a code name for 98 was Memphis. Then we had what was 2000? Whistler was 2000. We named it after Canadian skiing resorts. So Whistler was, and then the Windows CE, the mobile releases were named after Scotch whiskeys. So Macallan, Talisker, all these things. So and you always knew when you were really committing to a product, because that's when everyone got the polo shirts and t-shirts. So I still have my wife is like, can we please get rid of the Windows Memphis t-shirt from 1997?
With all the Scotch whiskeys?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, those are good ones. So I saw, and I had a hand in a few of them, and I saw ones that worked really, really well, and ones, and I guess what I'll say, the one thing I'll say, I mean, there's I could spend hours talking about our failures. That's what I do as a product guy. But I will say Bing was one of the most fun ones to work on, not because it was fun, but also because you had to believe it was going to work. It was a crazy thing. Like Google was and is a verb. I'm going to Google that. No one said I'm going to Bing that back then. John Oliver did, made fun of us for 2 episodes. But to take on a behemoth like that, and a good quality product, like it wasn't like a bad product you're trying to displace. It wasn't some crappy ERP you were getting rid of. Like it was Google, good product. And so to take that on and to see the conviction that the company had, even though we were hemorrhaging, not billions of dollars a year on this product for the first many years, because we had 5,000 engineers working on it. We had $250 million in marketing against it. And so like it was not a money-making product. And now it is. Now it does very, very well. But to see Ballmer back then, even Gates, Satya came in as well. Then Chi Lu came in to run it for us as well, and he was incredible. He worked 7 days a week. 996 to him is like vacation. He's 7/7. Whatever. I don't know how to say it. All the time.
You reported to him?
I reported to a gentleman who reported to Chi. Yes, but Chi and I we did a bunch of one-on-ones. I remember a couple of times there was 6 a.m. on Sunday mornings. I would have to go to his office in Bellevue, and I'm like, and then he would say, well, no one's here. I'm like, yeah, it's 6 a.m. on a Sunday, buddy. No one's here, just you and I. But he's great. And so my point of all this is just the conviction. We were discussing this yesterday with someone else. Like to be in AI right now, but to be in technology. Oh, it was the guy as Brian at NVIDIA. Brian talked about the fact that like you can't focus group your way into a new chip. You just got to you got to work with the community, figure out kind of where the puck is going, but then you double down. Like you commit to a fab, you commit to a tape out, you commit to all the things to get these things done, and that's a 2-year commit in some cases. And if you're wrong, you're kind of screwed. And I think we have gotten so with the lean mentality from Eric and all those guys, we've gotten so into A/B and so into MVP and get it out there and watch what happens. And I think there's definitely benefits to that. But it does take that conviction away because you're kind of saying, I don't really have a point of view. I'm going to let the market tell me, which I understand, but I'm going to let the market tell me what I should be building. And I don't think great products come, in most cases, from what customers tell you they want because customers definitionally don't know. I mean, it's the great Henry Ford quote, right? If I asked my customers what they would say, I think a black horse or a horse, whatever he said. Now I butchered it now. But same thing. So I think even with this, like you have to build this assuming everyone's going to show up. And not to go too tangential, but that's what I do in my brain. People don't register for these things until the last 2.5, 3 weeks. So you have to build a $12, $13 million build out and all the food and bev and all the speakers you promise people are going to see there, all the vendors who are paying a lot of money to show up here. You got to promise and you got to believe that 6,500 people are going to show up. And 3 weeks before, maybe you have 4,000, maybe 3,500. And then you're kind of watching, and then suddenly, the curve does hold. But boy, that's conviction. Because let me tell you, if it doesn't work, I'm on the hook for paying all these people, and that's the way it works. So
you have earned the right to be able to answer this question. So let's say you get a call from Satya.
Yep.
And he says, our AI strategy kind of on the fritz, right? The open AI thing, unclear where it's going to go. And this Copilot thing, kind of uncertain. Stefan, what's your advice? How do we save this?
Geez. Well,
this AI strategy
Satya
at Microsoft?
Definitely wouldn't call me for AI advice. But because he truly great people there working in it. Dan Lewis just went through from Convoy. He's there now. He's incredible. Mustafa obviously has deep background in such great space. You really got some heavy hitters. Jamie Tivan, who's here, chief scientist. She does great work there. So you've got really Kevin Scott, obviously. So they don't need my advice. I think what I would say, I was having this conversation with somebody else, with all love in my heart for that company, who may be who I am in many cases. There is a tendency to rely on install base to drive adoption, which makes sense. Like if you're Windows, you've got a huge install base. If you're Office, you have a huge install base. Like Azure, huge install base. So yeah, I mean, you would of course say to yourself, well, we already have the real estate. We have the eyeballs. Of course, if we put a feature in, that's what we did with Bing. We put Bing in IE, in our Explorer, and that works. And I will say this again with all the love in my heart, but Claude released a PowerPoint snap-in, and I was on the plane writing my deck for the opening for the speech this morning, and I used Copilot and PowerPoint on my Mac to attempt to do something. So I said, pull all the notes from the slides into a single document so I can have one doc, all my slides, my talk track, basically. That's what Copilot asked. Copilot said, can't do it. The object model doesn't allow me to access the notes. And, all you have to do is open it and copy and paste. And I'm like, well, that's what I asked you to do. So then I had Claude installed. So I clicked on the Claude app inside of PowerPoint, asked the same question, hit the same bug, but then it reasoned its way through it and said, oh, I can't do it this way, but I can get the XML blob instead and look at that and parse out the notes, and did it perfectly. And it was one of those things where I'm like, just because you have the real estate, if you don't have the product to back it up, you're going to end up with my dissatisfaction. And it's unfair because in many cases, that product could have worked really well. Bing was the same problem. People would oftentimes in the early days go to Bing when Google failed them. So they basically would say, they Google query in Google, it didn't work. They go to Bing. Maybe it's better, maybe it's not, but probably about the same if it's a tough query, who knows? And they're like, well, see, Bing sucks. They would never start with Bing and realize how much better we were in so many areas than Google was. They would go there as kind of the other one. That's the same problem I think they'll have with the integration. And yes, I have a lot of faith in the folks there, but the same issue with relying on distribution and integration as your core differentiator, because I think unless you also have this incredible product, which they will get to, you quickly, that button becomes invisible. It does to me. And no offense to my lovely teams back there, but I don't look at that I don't look at that button, and even when it gets better, which it will, are they going to earn my click back? Same thing with Bing. Bing wasn't always good in their all areas, but you have to earn those queries back. When we knew objectively we were better in shopping queries, we were better in local queries, we were better in so many queries. But if people had an okay experience to begin with, they wouldn't give us that click back. So how do you? That's the thing. That's our next thing. Is like they're going to get a lot better technically. They already have. The new models are incredible. Their open source models are incredible. How do you then though drive consumers and business people to say, yeah, I want to use this as my primary driving method for AI.
Fascinating insight. The pace of adoption of AI tools makes the size of that distribution moat decrease almost daily, and that's something that daily. Microsoft has never been in the position.
Yeah, again, the whole when Claude released the add-ins to Office, not Office Online, Office native apps, right? Like compiled apps. I said, oh boy, this is going to be a interesting thing to watch, and it is. I mean, at this point, right, as of today, whatever day we're at, Tuesday, April 7th, like, I would bet that Claude is better overall than Copilot inside of PowerPoint. This is a very small example. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm falling victim to my own bias, like all of our users did back with Bing and Google. But that matters, And so, but yeah, again, they've got some of the best minds on the planet. There are 70 corporate vice presidents in Silicon Valley now, which when I was here, I think there were a few, 3 or 4, I want to say. You've got 4 SLT members in the Valley as well. The new campus, of course, is amazing. So, like, Satya's not playing, and he's hiring the right people, and he's hiring, and he already has great people there at the company. So, like, they'll get there. But yeah, it's I want it to go faster.
Good segue into next topic. So this is AI in the future of work.
Yes,
I've heard you describe the origin of HumanX. You and I share a similar perspective. This is about humans transformed exponentially by the power of technology.
By tools, yeah.
I loved hearing you describe that previously.
Yep.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, I said it a while ago, and on its face, I mean, I'm sure you agree, it's a relatively obvious statement. I mean, that's what differentiates us from all the primates is our tool use to a certain extent, right? Monkeys can do some tool use, but generally we are who we are because we can use tools. And to me, at the end of the day, AI is a tool. It's a different type of tool than we've ever had because it is responsive in different ways, and it is self-learning in certain ways. And so it's not the same. It's not like a hammer. A hammer doesn't change its shape, doesn't change its weight or distribution of weight, doesn't change its size in response to the conditions around it. Like a lot of tools that we have today are definitionally static. And even computer code is definitional, in most cases static, right? Sure, some things, you have Bayesian networks that work, but generally it's static. So when I saw, when a lot of us saw AI coming to the forefront, to see systems, I use a system now called HyperAgent, which Howie Liu over Airtable, this is like his side project, right? I love this guy; he's great. And HyperAgent is this incredible piece of tech. Has a lot of issues, which I'm talking to him about as well. Probably again, product guy, nothing's ever good. But one of the cool things is that it identifies when it gets hung up in a task. When it resolves that task, it then basically writes, I'm sure it's some internal markdown file that says, okay, here when you were confronted with this task and you get stuck, here's what you do, right? So it builds skills in real time in response to it figuring things out. Or maybe I tell it, hey, actually the HubSpot ID for XY is for the HubSpot pipeline we use for attendee data is this. So then it remembers that. It's memory, obviously. A lot of things do that. But it builds these things as discrete skills, which then can get used across other agents. So now anything else I write in HyperAgent understands my HubSpot architecture. Because there's skills I can say, use a HubSpot skill, use this skill, use this skill. So that's where I get excited about this tool use, is that it's the first time really in our history where the tools themselves change in response to how we use them at scale. And that's why I'm excited about the exponentiality of the whole thing, is because suddenly tools themselves get better, people using them get better, and then that synergy, to use a silly word, makes both sides better. I hope that's the goal. If we're around next month, that's the goal.
Work is such a central part of the human condition.
Yes, it's purpose.
These days, the fundamental nature of work is perhaps changing faster than humans' ability to keep up with the changing nature of that work. What does that mean for how we think about our identity as humans?
That's such a good question. And I think about this all the time. And there's a gentleman I'm very good friends with named Ken Fruit. He's the distinguished professor of economics emeritus at Harvard, right? I live near him somewhere, and we have a great time. And he's obviously way smarter than I am. And we have these it's discussions a lot around, I worry about the kind of that step function change. To your point, I was talking to one of my friends. She runs Wabi, this autonomous trucking company. Great company, incredible. She's going to have trucks going coast to coast autonomously. She did, I think, even last year, and now they're becoming more prevalent, which is awesome for many reasons, for safety and for people not being away from their home for that long. Like, so many good reasons. And there are 3 million truck drivers in the U.S. And what Ken Fruit, what he would say was, Stefan, we've had this for centuries. Like, lamplighters were there, and again, you know the arguments. And I said, I agree with you, Ken. I 100% agree. And the time that the lamplighters had to adapt to a new reality was decades. They could retire, they could reskill, they could just quit, whatever. They could die in many cases, back then especially. And if we compress that adaptation, to your point, it's just like anything else. It's just like climate change too. Like the adaptation of our physical being will not keep up with, and we see it in the oceans, we see it in ourselves, we see it in our air. Same problem with jobs. I just think the adaptation time that we're given is insufficient to this rapidity with which the world is changing. And I don't know how to solve that, honestly.
First off, your friend Ken must become a guest on AI in the future of work.
He should. He is fascinating. Actually, Ken and his wife, Lee, she does work with KKR, who you may remember, they're the ones that kind of pioneered giving equity to employees. Is incredible within the report codes. Amazing. So she has a very interesting view on this as well. And then another person we're talking with, Stanford professor, thinks about this all the time. Anyway, we have lots of folks who should be in your podcast, because there are people who think about this all the time, who are much more senior and smarter than I am in this space. But to me, I just feel the angst. For me, it doesn't matter as much. The one thing I tell young people when I get asked, what should I go major in? It's like logic, grit, and then build your own thing, because that's truly, it's becoming one of the only real options, is to build something, which is great because now you can build things. What was it? Obviously OpenCloud, we just saw, it's one guy's vibe coded product, and we saw Molt Book, by my buddies, that was a weekend vibe code thing. So you can build things now which you couldn't build if you were not a technical person. You can build them and scale them. So I just think that's where work's going to have to go. You're going to have far more single entrepreneurs, maybe not building billion-dollar companies, building lifestyle companies that work just fine, serving niches that they are passionate and know about. How great is that? That suddenly, and again, I'm skipping over a whole set of people who don't have the privilege that I have in a lot of areas. And I can't solve for that right now. But certainly those that do have access to even basic tooling have this unbelievable opportunity ahead of them to go build products for things that they care about and that they're good at, that they know. I got a guy that maintains pools. I know him. And he and I were kind of over the weekend bantering about how he could improve his business, and so we spun up a quick Replit instance and we helped him stitch together a couple of systems in Replit and deployed it, to the cloud or deployed it onto infrastructure. And this is a guy who cleans pools, but he had an idea and he knew the market and he saw the problem he was having with routing and with chemical supply and all this kind of stuff. And so we could build this and could he build it himself? Sure. Me helping him a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit advanced him. But eventually, I'm irrelevant. Eventually, the systems themselves will do this, and they will help my buddy with the pool company build tools just for him. And that's why I think people get lost a little bit when they see the negative side of job losses. Is that it opens up the ability for people to build products and companies and services that otherwise wouldn't be built because it's not a big enough market.
Such a relatable example.
Yeah, I know, it's cool.
It exemplifies the power of humans transformed by technology.
Absolutely.
It's not about what AI is doing to us. It's what AI is doing for us and with us. It only has agency that we assign to it.
That's right.
It only knows what we tell it to know.
That's also
it
right.
only does what we tell it to do.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest, this is many years ago, one of my buddies is a guy named Damon Lindelof, who's a Hollywood producer. He wrote Lost and The Leftovers and I'm missing the best one. My brain's shot today, but Star Trek, amazing. And he and I are definitely on the same page. He's like, why do we keep anthropomorphizing AI? Why does it have to be a human? And why does it have to have negative? Why do you have to connote negativity? Why do we assume it's going to be like us, and why do we assume it's going to be negative to us? Is that's just the fundamentally wrong approach, to this. And so he's right. And I was definitely, before I had the conversation, I was definitely on that spectrum. Like, oh my God, Skynet, the whole cliche, yada yada. He's like, why does it have to be a human, Stefan? Why? He's like, I guess sure, it doesn't have to be a human. And so I think that's the right approach. Yeah.
Yes.
He's great. He's great too.
When we talk about exponentially improving humans, we have physical limitations.
Yes.
This person has evolved over millennia to lift heavy things, do agrarian work, do things that evolution hasn't yet contemplated.
No.
So to evolve the species faster involves looking at our deficiencies
That's a good.
and augmenting the things that our physical form doesn't allow. And to me, what you've created, this incredible community,
Oh yeah. Well,
it's a small but growing community of voices that celebrate the transformative capabilities of technology.
Yeah.
So I want to amplify your voice.
Well, thank you, because I appreciate that.
Because more people need to be inspired and feel empowered.
Yeah, it is. At the same time,
capabilities.
I think we can all agree and relate to. I was speaking to KUCBS last night, the local station here, amazing station, and we were talking about this event and what we were doing here, and I said, look, I get it. I get why people are scared and they're nervous, and part of it's because the glitterati of the space don't speak in a way that is understandable or relevant or resonates with people who are not, like my mom's 83 years old. She doesn't know what she knows what I do, but she never has understood what I've done necessarily. And it's not because she's not smart, she is, but it's just so outside of her frame of reference. And so I think so much fear is happening now, and we're not doing a good enough job as an industry to address it. We're kind of like poo-pooing it. We're saying, you don't get it. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Trust us. It'll be great. And that's just no one's going to trust. And look, I'm a techno-optimist. I'm a technologist. You shouldn't trust me, not because I'm a liar, because I don't know. This whole technology is non-deterministic. So how the F would I be able with a straight face to tell my mother it's going to be okay when my buddies at Google and DeepMind, when they themselves will freely admit that sometimes these things configure operations that are do tasks that they aren't sure how. And not because, again, they're the best minds in the world. It's just that's the nature of the technology. So I think we owe it to people to be more transparent about the fact that we don't know. It's like Carol Dweck's. Satya had put this book into Microsoft right when I was leaving. I think I actually gave it to him. I'm taking credit for it. I probably didn't, but I'm taking credit for it. But the growth mindset. Phenomenal. My favorite books on the whole planet. And those 3 powerful words. I don't know. And we need a lot more of that. A lot more of that in AI and a lot more of that in technology. And as my team knows, I say it 10 times a day. And then they look at me like, oh my God, you're leading this thing. But it's true. I don't know. And that's on invitation to be ignorant. It's an invitation to then say, so therefore I will go learn it. I'll ask an expert. I will make a mistake. I'll build something that doesn't work, whatever. And I wish we had more of that in this industry right now.
An important corollary to that question is, have great responsibility because you are the human face of this community. Have there been any ethical bridges that you've been asked to cross when it comes to Stefan the entrepreneur, perhaps taking a check to fill a booth with maybe content or ideas that contradict some of the philosophies that were behind the founding of the company?
It's a good question. Just looking around here, everybody.
I walked the show floor and I was asking myself, knowing that you and I were going to talk about some of the things that I see that it turns out you and I are probably in violent agreement about and might be close to that edge of what's appropriate.
There's certainly, so 2 things, 2 different ways to think about it. So people on stages, like they're right now, the thing that we do, which most other events do not do, is we don't take money for stage time. So nobody can buy their way on stage. $0 can be spent. I got offered it. I got offered a very large 7-figure check for someone to go on stage. And I said, no, we don't do that. So we have an entire curation team, editorial team that all they do is figure out who should be on stage, what they should talk about, with whom, and why. So that's one thing. So that absolves me from a lot of that conflict because no one on stage can pay to be there. And we also have a rule that you can't be interviewed by your funder or by a friend. I mean, in some case, but mostly it's, as you can see, we have almost 500 press here at this event. On stage, you've got, you had Kate Rooney this morning, Katie Roof, we have everyone. And they're asking real questions. They're journalists. So what I can't ask questions like, I'm not good enough. They're better. So that's another way to keep that honesty going on. And we also don't pay speakers. So we don't, it helps us out. Now, so that's one thing. On the content side, that's how we kind of have that isolation. On the floor side, it's interesting. I haven't been presented with it. I will say that I went by a couple of booths, and a couple of them, I'm not going to name names, but they have very provocative taglines, and
that's what I was alluding to.
Yes, I know. I figured who it was. and I actually went to them. It's the same tagline last year too. And I went to them and I'm like, guys, they're like, look, Stefan, it's just a walk stopper, right? It's just basically people kind of look at that and go, okay, I guess I should at least see what's going on. And then of course you talk to them. That's not what they're trying to do. It's just, that's a way to get attention. So yeah, we haven't been, I guess I'm blessed so far. We haven't been confronted with, and also we're just like these guys over here, the AI collective. You should know them if you don't know them. Chappie Asol and these guys, Chappie? Yeah, it's great. So like they have 25 or more than that now. It's like 25,000 active people in their community. It's a nonprofit. It's incredible. But like I brought them here because that whole thing started by having conversations in a basement like living room. And so that's how that got started. All these incredible speakers would come and just hang out in the basement. And I said, go recreate that. Go literally create programming that you used to do in the living room in the basement over there and bring people in for free. Have these great conversations. There's no agenda. There's no BS. But I mean, more of that I can do to make sure that really good conversations are happening that aren't paid and bought and paid for. Hopefully, the more authentic we can keep this event. We'll see. But no, we also raise venture money, so that's a different than again most every other event. No, I can't. There's probably a handful of events that are venture funded, and so that allowed us as well to not not take money for stage, I have definitely refused. I've definitely refused vendors who want to be here for a bunch of different reasons. But I could just say, you're better off somewhere else. Like, this isn't for you. If you want to do that, then you can go somewhere else. And I'm not judging. It's just not aligned with what I want to do. And again, because we raise venture money and I have enough friends in the Valley and everywhere else, and they know I'm not an ass, or I am an ass, but they are, even when I say no, they're like, okay, well, I know why he's saying no, at least, and that's okay. So yeah, I don't know. We're lucky. I'm lucky.
As we're getting to know each other, I realize how much this event radiates your personal, your style, your philosophy, your style.
That's true.
It truly does.
The dog park, especially. That is just for me. Yes, it is. Honest to God, that's just for me. My team every year,
notable.
The team is like, do we have to do that? Yes, I don't care.
You must have corgis.
Yeah. We have a beautiful shepherd there right now, and we've got a retriever over there right now. Gorgeous dogs. So that's the SPCA here in the Valley brings the dog. They're therapy dogs, and anyway, yes, it does.
If you could talk a little bit about your leadership style. How are you growing the organization?
I'm sorry. How am I?
Your leadership style.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
I mean, you're so humble.
It's adapted. One thing I'll say, when I got to Microsoft early on, I had a very aggressive boss, like classic Microsoft, type A, shouting, brilliant. I love the man to this day. He's great. But he definitely taught me, as an introvert, I don't do a lot of yelling. That's not my style. And when I was there, I had to adapt very quickly to the idea that when I needed to get aggressive, it wasn't a personal attack. It was an attack on my idea. And unfortunately, I'd say over the years, when I was there early on, I developed a probably pretty negative way of interacting with people, and that it was this. Yeah, it was an attack of ideas. It really was. And so you get into a room with, and I was rarely the smartest guy in the room, probably 1 in 10 times, maybe, if I was even that lucky. And you would have these really brutal arguments, and as a leader, I first started managing teams, and I started managing teams pretty early at Microsoft. And then many cases, they were twice my age, or they were, older than I was. And I was pretty brutal. I was not a nice person. And after a while, I still love my first guy. He was great. Dennis was amazing. But I recognized, like, that's not how I didn't feel good. It felt good to win the argument. It felt good to get your point over the line. And it was encouraged. Like Ballmer, Gates, they're all the same way. Like, and they would give you would give as good as they gave, or I'm butchering that phrase, but there was an expectation. Like, if you shrunk and kind of hid, then you probably shouldn't be in the room. And that probably wasn't fair. And that caused a lot of people to not want to be, in those rooms. And a lot of women felt very, very, subjugated back then because it was so aggressive and kind of type A testosterone things. So it wasn't good for many reasons. All that background to just say, I forget when it was exactly. It may have been Satya. Maybe I'm watching Satya, or I don't know who it was. One of my earlier bosses. Oh, it was Yusuf Mehdi. He's still there. And so Satya, but I worked for Yusuf for a while. I remember watching him every Friday. Would have like an all hands, and the team was pretty good size. But he would walk through basically. But he'd walk through his week. Like, what did he do that week? Not to be impressive, but just to kind of say, here's what's important, and if what I'm doing is what I believe to be important for our business. And he walked through his week. He would take Q&A. Every QBR, he would go through the entire 80-slide QBR deck that he presented to the board, or the board deck, pardon me, including all the numbers. So the entire organization, from the assistant to, the rest of us, knew the business. And I remember thinking to myself, holy crap, this information is material, non-public information, MNPI, you could trade on it. You shouldn't have, obviously, no one did, I hope. But I'm like, he trusts the team that much to be this vulnerable and to say, here's what I tried, it didn't work. Here's where Steve yelled at me. Here's where our numbers are. They're not where they need to be. Here's where we're succeeding. I still this day, I remember thinking, I want to be like that. Like, I want to cultivate a culture of that, where people know, like, there's no secrets. And I built a whole Oracle, not Oracle, I call it the Oracle. Probably shouldn't do that. Probably get sued now by Larry. But I built that HumanX Oracle internally, which literally is MCP servers across every single data source we have, and you can ask it anything, except for like salary information and whatnot. But yeah, the idea is we can expose all of our information, in ways that Yusuf would have loved to have done 20 years ago. But that's how it's evolved. It's really, I hire the best people in the world at what they do. I give them a lot of rope. They know my expectations, which are high. They know our numbers, and then our KPIs. We review them every single week. How are we doing against 30 different metrics across the company, tracked luckily by AI mostly these days. And I let them run. And I think the thing that I probably am not good at, I have a lot of conviction in my ideas. And when one of my leads, who's an expert in their area, will say, I think you're wrong. I think in the old days, I would have said, I don't give a shit and do what I say. And now I think I've probably gone too far the direction where I'm like, okay, you're the SME here and I'm not. And so if you disagree with what I'm saying and you can prove otherwise, then go do it. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I haven't figured it out. I think the people like it. I don't always know what generates the best outcome, because people do get calcified in their thinking. They get pattern matchy, which we all do as humans. We use heuristics, otherwise our brains would blow up, And so I think that's where I'm less good, I would say, if I'm being honest with myself. But I think that's evolution. Every day I try to get better, and I use a lot of humor. But
whatever you're doing is working. I've got to get you off of your own hot seat. but not without answering one last very important question. So in a decade,
yes,
it's 2036, and Stefan and Dan are having a version of this
Love
conversation. How has HumanX changed? I don't mean like who are the vendors or what the signs say, but like, what are the conversations that we're having that are different than today?
Well, in 10 years, that's two different questions, I think, right? What are the conversations that we're having, and how has this thing changed? And so if I take both in serial manner, let's take the second one first, which is that this shouldn't be an event. First of all, like it's neat to get folks together. It's good to have people in person. It's not efficient. It is not sustainable from a pure environmental standpoint. These things are horrifically wasteful. It's shocking. We've done a lot to reduce that, but it's shockingly wasteful. This carpet all gets thrown away at the end of the day. It's insane. So it shouldn't be an event. We may have a gathering. We may have smaller gatherings in different areas. The fact that we're here in San Francisco means, and we have people from 78 countries here, which is amazing. I was shocked by that, to be honest, and including countries that I'm like, really? How'd you get a visa to come here even? But it's again a privilege. Guys from Ecuador who have amazing ideas, maybe they can't make it because it's a lot of money to get here. And so I think 10 years from now, you won't necessarily see. You may see one of these, but it would not be the primary thing we do. And what I want to be able to do, and we're doing it this year, which is really exciting, is to use a bunch of AI technologies to keep this going all year round. So one of the reasons people come to these events is not for the content, even though it's amazing, not for the food, even though it's pretty good, not for the free drinks. No drink tickets here, folks. Just FYI, you can no drink tickets. They come because they meet people. And we are humans, and that's what we do. And it's hard for us to buy something without meeting somebody in many cases, unless it's a Tesla. Or it's hard to trust a vendor is not giving you a line of BS without talking to a customer of theirs, right in person, like you and I are doing. So part of what we've done this year, a bunch of different ways of doing it, is create the matches for people. You probably saw this MatchX thing we launched. Basically, everyone here, we built 15 people they must meet. And we did it by analyzing everyone who's coming, and we got some of them wrong, so sorry if it was wrong. But we analyzed everyone, who they were, what they worked on, what their companies did, how big the companies are, and we did that for everybody. And then we ran a 40-hour compute cycle, literally 40 hours, and 6 billion tokens. And
personalized podcasts.
Yeah. I mean,
brilliant.
Oh, that was cool. Did you like that? Oh, I'm glad you liked
Notebook LM.
No, I didn't, and I didn't even. I said, do not put this in. It's so dumb. No one's going to use this. And I said,
it was brilliant.
Damn it! Now I'm going to get so much from a meme about that because I was like, no one's going to listen to this. Don't do this.
I listened to mine on my commute this morning.
Dang it! Okay, well, there you go. I'm wrong. Amin was right. I'm wrong. Well, we'll see the actual data though. I'm not. You might be unique. but I agree. It's actually what I heard is pretty cool. But my point is, like, that's an example of where you come to an event like this, and as cool as this event is, like, if I just dropped you on the floor and said, good luck finding who you need to talk to, like, good luck. You're never going to do it. It's possible. You can go through the attendee list. Like, that's not going to help you. So that's just one of like 10 different things we're building right now that allow us to have this kind of year-round activation of the community. And so what we're going to roll that forward, and all the underlying technology of that will power a lot more experiences that allow us to have people in the community to have interactions all around. So that's to me, that's 10 years. This becomes diffuse, distributed. Maybe we have a big flagship event, but that's not the core of the company. Content-wise, I have no idea. And anyone who's telling you differently is just selling you something. Because if I had to guess, again, based on just knowledge that I've had, physical AI is becoming more important. So I think you'll see a lot more of that. You'll see a lot more edge AI. I mean, that's like 2 years, not 10 years away. I think you'll see AI being applied. I think you'll see AI being applied in ways. You'll see AI being deployed in companies that don't exist yet for very interesting scales. But I don't know. I mean, I'm physical. I'm edge. To me, the biggest thing we have to crack is the energy question. So I think you'll see a lot of we're discussing going to the GCC region to do an event there before the current issues down there. And we still will. We'll head back when this is all over, and we'll do great things. Because if you think about what this all takes, and you think about how inefficient AI is today, our brains operate on 20 watts of power. 20 watts, and a single, whatever, H200 is, I forget, I don't know what it is at this point. And so, like, it's hyper inefficient right now, which means we have to put more energy against it, which means you have to create energy somehow. You have to store energy somehow. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that conversation happening, is like this: how do you create the energy, or how do you create more efficient ships, more energy, the combination of the two? How do you put them in space to help cooling? I think we're going to see more of that. I think the applications will naturally get better and better, but I think the underlying infrastructure that it takes to power these highly inefficient human brains, that's where we'll see focus, I think, in the future. I hope so.
We're going to have a lot more opportunities to talk about.
I would love to, man.
Between now and then.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
On this podcast, we call ourselves Team Human.
Yes.
And I want you to know that you are an honorary mayor of Team Human.
Just for the day, though, probably, right?
At least for the day.
Okay.
You were in the right.
I'll take mayor for a day. That's the only thing I'll ever win. So yeah, I'll take mayor for a day.
There you have it. That's a wrap for AI and the Future of Work with amazing new mayor of Team Human, Stefan Weitz. Coming to you from HumanX, I'm Dan Turchin from People Rain, and we're back next week with another fascinating guest. This live conversation with Stefan from HumanX 2026 is a powerful reminder that the future of work is not about what AI is doing to us, but what it is doing for us and with us. AI only has the agency we assign to it, and the leaders poised to win are the ones using this technology to elevate human agency, creativity, and purpose. If this perspective resonated with you, make sure you don't miss the upcoming episodes in our special HumanX compilation series. And if you know someone building, leading, or thinking deeply about the future of AI, please share this episode with them or leave a comment with your perspective. Thanks for listening to this special edition of AI and the Future of Work. Till next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep building with purpose.
Yo, it's the end of the show, time to power it down. AI's the sis, but humans wear the crown. Team Human in the house, got the vibe so clever. Dan Turchin from People Rain, making us better.
We learned about AI for humans. We're ready to conquer the future. That's all for now.
See you next time.